Sup, my dudes? This is the track review of Night SX3, and it's made by a dude named MXGR underscore Night. Hope I got all that correct there. So yeah, if you haven't already added me on Steam, go do that. Even the motocross fans, this is the way you can actually get to my Discord, because I've been just going down through my Steam's friends list and inviting people to play MX Simulator, PUBG, all kinds of stuff. But that's how you get into my Discord if you're ever wondering how to do that. You just got to go add me on Steam first, and then you can either hit me up on there or whatever, and I'll get you in the Discord. So my Steam name is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. So it's just like my YouTube channel name, but without the capital letters and the space between it. So yeah, man, I've been inviting a lot of random fans to play different stuff. I'll be inviting you guys to random fun 125 races and shit like that. So definitely go do that if you haven't done that yet. But yeah, dude, check out this hook. That is a massive quad in right there. So I actually really did enjoy this track, man. Whoever was working on the actual on-track rhythm sections and stuff, they got it going on as far as knowing how to make a skill gap on a supercross track, because this has that for sure. Just about every single rhythm that you hit in this game, I mean on this track right here and in this game, but I meant on this track, it feels like there is a bigger line to hit. Like there's a small line to hit, there's kind of like a medium line to hit, and then there's a massive line to hit, right? So it's like every section kind of feels like if you're really pretty fast pro level on a supercross track, you can hit something that you feel like not very many other people can go in there and actually hit, right? So I love when supercross tracks can get that kind of feeling to them. A lot of the newer AMA replica supercross tracks, they can't even get that aspect down, like the making it to where you really feel like you can separate yourself rhythm section wise. I feel like that's what supercross is. So if your track doesn't have that, it just, I don't know, it just does not feel as fun to me as far as a supercross track goes. But like this quad right here is super hard to get. Then you got this, like I think it's like a quad or a 5. Almost went off the track right there. But obviously some tropical vibes going on here. So you guys know I'm always down for that shit. But rocking the Red Bull front fender KTM. A little bit weird steering on this puppy. Took me a minute to get used to it, but yeah, you got this little fun section where you got to double up that through the corner, and then you triple right here. You might be able to huck quad that all the way to that roller. I'm not 100% sure. That would be insanity, but maybe you can do that. Then you get a massive, that quad right there, dude. I think you could land it clean if you spent like quite a few laps on this track to really learn it. I haven't put that many laps into the track, so, but it's one of those corners you got to rail that berm perfect. I mean, like 100% perfect to huck that quad right there all the way on a 450. So that was a ton of fun how they spaced that apart. I don't really know if they were, you know, expecting people to be able to quad that, because it is really, really hard to quad it, but it's fun because when you are at a pro level, you're like, goddamn, I know nobody else is jumping this right here. So it's fun to have sections like that on a supercross track. But yeah, just the layout and how some of these corners kind of snake around, and some little fun elevation corner sections and stuff. It's not like such a generic, basic, everyday, you know, cookie cutter supercross track here. It just really felt like a different design of a track than what you see all the time, and there's just nothing like having that in MX Simulator. It's so much fun when you get a track like that. Now the traction can feel a little bit weird at times. It can feel like you've got like super brownie mix rip you out of your seat traction, and then all of a sudden you slide the front end over. So it's got a little bit of a weird traction, but I think it's okay. It's not terrible. It does kind of fit the dirt look, to be honest. It's kind of like a tacky, maybe with a slight little bit of wetness on it or something. Or it's kind of like what it feels like, or a slight little bit of dryness on it. Either one, it's kind of the same difference, right? You know, wetness and super dry, you're going to be sliding. So it's got a little bit of that going on, but at the same time, it does have a bit of a brownie mix dirt super grip filling to it as well, which is cool. I think it fits the dirt really well here. So yeah, just how that corner kind of snakes around right there. That's that massive quad. Maybe you could hit it if you like came all the way up here to this corner, slammed on your brakes, and just like straight shot this, or like straight where I'm looking right here, right between those two or three tough blocks there. If you could straight shoot that and there was no roller right there, you might be able to huck quad this. But be tough, dude. Like, you know, hucking all the way this little inside roller right here. So you can hit that to the inside and triple, or you can rail up the outside and quad like that. As you can see, I'm barely making it right here. I rode probably, I don't know, maybe 20 laps on the track, so it's not like I had just a ton of time to really figure that jump out right there. If I was pro racing on this track, that'd be a jump where I would try to get that down like perfect. I would really sit there and try to get that corner right and try to get the huck up on the bike out of the corner right, because I know that would be a big line to hit in pro racing on this type of track right here. But this cool little section right here where you quad over, that's a really fun, I don't know what it is about that jump right there, but it's like you quad up over a little tabletop section, then you can carry all your speed around, jump this, continue to carry all your speed around. If you snake around them tough blocks right, then continue to carry all that speed around. That's one thing about this track. No section really feels like it totally kills your momentum. Everything just kind of flows together really well, which is something that a lot of people can't really capture on their Supercross tracks. So it's nice when people do get that. I love this little section right here. It's like there's a little bit of a roller to the inside, and it feels like if you hammer the gas wide open around this corner, like you can just barely get it to where it'll turn and hit this triple right here. It's just a nice width of a track. And that little inside roller, like I'm telling you, I don't know if you can really see that on YouTube, but it makes it really, really fun because you get a little bit of kick on the bike when you hammer it way up the inside. You can see it right there how the rear end kind of kicked a little bit. So that's kind of cool how it did that. But then you hit that triple, you can hit this corner right here pretty hard. You quad up over this, quad right here, super fun rhythm. Really nice inside rut that you can hit right there. You can do like a super glue rail around that corner up the inside. Then you got this fun section where you got to jump. It's one of those where you kind of got to like time it just a little bit, land right down in that perfectly, quad this, and then you quad this again. So it's like basically, what is that, like 4 or 5 quads in 2 rhythms? That's so much fun on a Supercross track, dude. And they're really not that hard to hit. I mean, if you're on a 450, you should be able to hit that even as an amateur. Like, I mean, surely to goodness you can hit that. It's not like super, super huck, like only James Stewart would be able to hit it kind of rhythms. It's not quite to that extreme difficulty, but I mean, you could see how consistently I was hitting all those quads over there. But now this other quad up over here that I was telling you guys about, it is a little bit more like only James Stewart could hit that type of thing. It's more of that Pastrana level difficulty kind of rhythm to quad all the way into this puppy. It's rough, man. It's rough to get it, but then this really fun tabletop style jump right here, you can whip pretty good over that. Or you can get in a certain rhythm to where it jumps you up on the tabletop, right? So that was kind of interesting how he made that. He like integrated a tabletop into a rhythm section where you can either jump it like a normal tabletop or you can jump on top of the tabletop and like not get in the air at all. So I'm not really sure the fastest line on that. Haven't really just sat down and analyzed it to the fullest extent, but it's pretty cool right here. You can snake around these 2 little kind of elevated S off-camber corners and a nice kind of little bit slight angle to the right. Double right there, bigger double style than another triple here. Got some nice palm trees off in the distance. Looks like he's got tall palm trees and short palm trees. A couple little areas you can see where he's got some of that white effect coming out on the track, where his decals didn't quite meet up all the way. Don't know if you can see that on YouTube, like right over there, right here, right over there to the left. So that kind of tells you this is more of a beginner track maker, even though I think the on-track is really, really good here. I mean, I had a lot of fun on this, just rhythm section-wise, and being able to hit different stuff and trying to hit some of these corners faster, some of the insides, trying to hit those really, really hard. So, yeah, overall, I was fairly impressed with it. Feels like could be like a real track compound in Hawaii or, somewhere like that. It kind of gives you that type of feel to the track overall, gives you a very, very interesting feeling on that type of sense. You can quad out of the first corner, you can quad, or that may be like a, let's see, what is that? Yeah, like a quad or something to jump. You can totally jump over this first tabletop and land on the second one. And just the way you can carry so much speed around this first corner and hit this first section right here gives you a very, very cool feeling like you're really going fast on a 450. Whereas some Supercross tracks, the way they're built, it's almost like in the traction of them and stuff, especially with some of the newer ones that are so high friction, it almost feels like you're more in like a sand type of feel, like the bike's not really getting its full potential of power. And I think the reason why they do that is so that you can't hit some kind of big quad section like this over here on this one side and it'd be like quote unquote unrealistic. But at the same time, when all your damn supercross tracks feel like a Southwick sand track or like a super loam friction track, is that really realistic either? I don't think so. So, you know, that's one big difference in a lot of these newer AMA replica tracks and some of your just kind of community-made custom tracks. You'll notice that where you're like a track like this, you're really feeling like you're getting the full power out of the 450. But with your AMA replica tracks, a lot of times it can feel like you're more so on a like an older 450 or something like that. It gives you a very weird feeling because the friction just simply doesn't allow you to get the full amount of power and the full amount of mile per hour speed going like you could get on a track like this. So this is a really, really good, as far as like just not too much friction, you know, nothing like that. It's got a nice little balance in that type of sense of it, but can give you a couple little weird slick vibe feelings here and there, but feels like a brownie mix style track that's been maybe dried out just a little bit. That's kind of the feeling that this track gives, so it can like give you a super traction, and then sometimes it can slide a little bit, but I think it's a fun track, man. Like, and that's what allows you to be able to hit those really cool rhythms and stuff, is when you can actually go in there and have something that's not super, super friction. When you got that AMA 2018 AMA replica track friction in this game and it feeling like a sand track, a lot of times you can't even hit any rhythms that are remotely cool because everybody's hitting the same thing, because you can't hit anything bigger because the bike won't go any faster. You get what I'm saying? So the slower you go, the lower the skill gap it is. That's just a fact right there. So when some of these newer AMA replica supercross tracks get to that extent where it's like they're so friction based, it just makes it where that skill gap just goes down and down and down. But when you get something like this where you have the potential to hit a crazy rhythm like that, I just can't explain how much more fun and in the amount of making you want to come back and ride on the track more that really gives, especially on a supercross track. It's just fun when they get that kind of feeling to them, like you really feel like you can separate yourself not only in a corner sense, but in a whoop sense, but also in a rhythm sense. Like, it seems like nowadays with most supercross replica tracks in this game, you might have one separating rhythm on them that's actually like a separating rhythm where only a really good dude on a 450 can hit that, like a really good supercross 450 rider can hit a certain rhythm. But usually there's not even one section like that. Usually it's just standard triple, 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 or double, triple, triple, you know, super, super simple rhythms, or like tabletop on off, really, really simple, not like where you can actually quad up over an entire tabletop and stuff like that. Now when you go back a little bit further through the replica tracks like 2013, 14, 15, even some 16, stuff like that, you know, a lot of those tracks had that fun, really be able to hit huge rhythms. And I know when you take a newer dyno and like a 13 track, obviously you're hitting massive shit that you couldn't hit back in the day. I'm not just saying 13 tracks. I'm saying even the 14 and 15 and 16 tracks, they had some rhythms on those. Just about on every single one of those tracks, you had certain jumps where it was like, all right, dude, yes, like this is a fun jump rhythm track. But now it's like you may have one track or two out of the entire Supercross series that feels like that, whereas back in the 2014 and 15 days, it seemed like just about every one of the tracks felt like that, right? You might have one or two that weren't like that. You know, it's like it's totally flipped opposites as far as like the fun factor of the tracks now, to me personally. But that's just me, man, and a big part of that is the high friction base, man. You'll notice that, like, if you go back and look at some of the older tracks, that's what they've done. Like, it's when you go back, it's like they just got more friction, and then the next year they got more friction, and then the next year they got more friction, and then the next year it felt more like sand, and then the next year it felt like more friction. And now it's to the point where the Supercross tracks just feel like a super deep loam sand feeling to them. Hardly ever do you get like a dry track feel, or more of just a brownie mix super traction track feel like this. They've eliminated a lot of their variation as far as on-track feelings, I feel like, on some of the newer AMA replica tracks. But this right here is a fun style like that, man. just a fun track. Like, that's really all there is to say to it. Fun triples, fun rhythms. I think a lot of you Supercross fans of this game will have quite a bit of fun on this track. And the thing about it is, if you're not to a pro level and you can't hit some of these bigger quad lines, you can still hit something pretty small on the track, and it still flows very well on it. So that was the cool thing about it. Like, you know, even if you can't hit the massive stuff, you can still get around the track fairly decently. The whoops aren't humongous. They're kind of in that small, medium to small size right there, so you can hit them wide open if you're, you know, more of a pro level and stuff. But yeah, just the way some of the layout S's around on the track, I just enjoyed it overall. So in the stadium off in the distance, it brings it more together, like it's a real Supercross round, or like a, you know, a bigger amateur Supercross night round or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna give this thing I'm going to give it a 9 overall. I mean, obviously, some of the off-tracks, a little bit more simple, but all in all, not terrible. This little rut section over here is a little bit weird. Not sure if this is trying to be like a sand section, but it doesn't actually have sand on it. This is really the only corner that actually has any sort of rut on it, or any section on the track that has any sort of rut or roughness to any major degree. This right here, I just hit it on the outside. This where the track kind of berms up like that. You can ricochet off that berm really fast and kind of angle yourself perfectly back through this section. So I don't even really go through that bit of roughness rut. Kind of looks bizarre, but looks a little bit weird to just throw that in on the track right there. But either way, you got this really cool raised up. Like I said, that adding that just a little bit of elevation in some of the corners adds a lot to the track, instead of the entire track just being perfectly flat. Some of this off-track stuff got a little bit of raised terrain and whatnot. A little bit of dual type of decal work right there adds to it. As I said before, he's got a little bit of that, you know, Santa Claus snow effect going on, where it was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, all in all, 9 overall. I'm going to say the difficulty is probably looking at some of these rhythms can be a little tricky if you're hitting them big. Like, if you're going big on this track, you're going big everywhere. You know, you're doing like some quad 5. They're going over here and hitting this massive quad in and doing some stuff like, there's no telling what you could hit. If you quad into this really clean, you know what I'm saying? You could probably quad this, and maybe, I don't know, that's a really small jump. Maybe you could get it all the way to here, maybe not. You might jump one short of doing all those little singles right there. You might have to jump to this and then jump on top of the tabletop. But yeah, it's a high skill gap track. Even though it's like you can ride on it at any skill level, it still feels like it's got that almost endless kind of skill gap filling in the corners and the way the traction is and stuff. So, you know, it's somewhere in that medium difficulty range. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dude.